we're gonna have to do another episode this week because it's not all gonna get covered today.
Oh yeah, no.
Like there's a lot of shit. Like I took recently, I took a trip to New York City. Well, weird shit happened there.
I tell you, man, when you say you're gonna take a trip, you take a fucking trip.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna go away for the weekend. Most people are like, I'm gonna go like maybe somewhere in the Buffalo area. Nope.
Okay, well we got your room ready. Okay, what size bed is in it?
What other people look like us?
Exactly.
You're gonna remember
us. Just because I'm wearing a fucking mask, don't act like you don't fucking recognize me. Whatever. So then finally got upstairs, dressed, changed, went out, was gonna go down to the village, get some drinks, whatever. Walked to this one place, Jekyll and Hyde restaurant.
Okay.
Down in Greenwich Village. There's people waiting. This guy comes out. He was like, "You guys waiting to come in?" Yeah. Well, kitchen's closed, and you gotta get it. If you want a drink, you gotta get food with a drink. But we're not serving any food anymore, so we're closing. Is this everywhere? And they're like, "Well, we're closing at 11." Okay, it was like 10:30. Oh. What the fuck? So we hit a couple more places. Every other place is like, we're closing. 11 o'clock, dead. It was bittersweet. It was
because you were in New York, but you weren't in New York.
But yeah, it wasn't like during the day. It was okay. The only thing that was kind of weird is that everybody was wearing
their mask. Yeah,
everywhere. I got to go get my Grace Papaya. I got my pink berry. I got my fucking how many slices of pizza.
How many grape papayas did you have? How many did you throw down?
I didn't have a lot. I think I had 2.
Only 2?
Yeah, I inhaled them, but it was.
Gee, I would have fucking.
Listen, I wanted more, but I didn't want to have a bellyache, so I don't eat the way I used to.
Oh.
But yeah, it was so weird. Like, had to go to Forbidden Planet.
Mm-hmm.
You can see I picked up the spiffy T-shirt, and there was only certain spots that I wanted to hit that
you didn't hit Midtown,
non-negotiables. Yeah, I mean, I went and did like a little tour of the place, showed CK, my roots and where I used to hang out and all that shit. Didn't get to do everything only because like shit was closed, shit was restricted, shit was, it wasn't.
See, my thing is like for if I were to take Brittany, I mean, she wants to go like to the library and museums, which we could do.
Yeah.
But I'm a New Yorker and I like the nightlife. Like I want to go like to the bars, to the clubs, Jimmy's Cafe, places like that.
Yes.
And those motherfuckers, if they're closing at 11, it makes no sense to go.
Yes. The only thing that was cool that our last night there, we found this bar in St. Mark's Place in the Village, and they stayed open until 12:30.
Yeah, 12:30.
12:30.
Wow.
Like we were there, we got there like 9 o'clock. I'm like, all right, we got a couple hours to drink and whatever. Order some food. They had a beer and shot special, so we fucking started downing them. 11 o'clock came and went. Nobody kicked us out. I was like, order more. I'm not going back there unless some
everything open,
restrictions. Yeah. Not even if like fully open, but just
lift some shit.
Yeah. Like it was weird seeing like the theaters for the Broadway shows, like everything was black. No lights, no nothing. Like it was bad, man. It was like the end of the world. Like it was fucked up.
I think I would freak out because the only other time I can remember New York being that way was at 9/11. Because I was in New York when 9/11 happened. It was and living in the Bronx, it was eerily silent.
Yeah.
Like, because New York, you hear trains, planes, cabs, buses.
Yes.
When they shut that city down and you didn't hear anything, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, that's about it.
You ever really have big stories? There's nothing you could do.
Huh?
The hotel story was the story.
The hotel story was the story.
That was the story.
That's it. That was like the big story.
Normally you go to New York, you come back with some stories.
Some shit. Like there was some weird shit. Like we're hanging out Union Square.
Yeah.
And there was this guy in a fucking like albino mask and albino dude mask and wearing baggy clothes and shit, standing next to an arm wrestling table in the middle of Union Square.
Did you arm wrestle him?
No, they wanted me to arm wrestle though. We just came from Forbidden Planet, got some coffee. We're just gonna sit down. There were some fucking protesters and shit doing their talking shit. So I was like, let's watch this. So we're sitting there, and I'm like, look at this albino. The albino turns around. We sit down at the stairs in Union Square, and all of a sudden the albino looks at me and goes, I'm like, no. Absolutely not. And then so this guy comes up and he's like, hey, why don't you go arm wrestle? So I guess the whole gimmick that was going on was that this guy had to be some arm wrestling champion or professional arm wrestler or some shit because he had the mask on so nobody would know what he looks like for real. He was wearing baggy clothes because I was watching him arm wrestling people, and you can tell like when he was arm wrestling, like the jacket would tighten up. This dude was jacked. This dude had some arm definitions. I was like, I'm not gonna lie. Part of me was like, I'm gonna try to see what it is. But I was like, no. The one guy came up to me, he was like, hey, you should go arm wrestle. They want your arm wrestle, blah, blah, blah. I go, no, thanks. I appreciate it. And the guy was like, no, it's nothing. You go, you arm wrestle him. If you win, you get $100. I'm like, really? Let me see the $100. They showed me the $100. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And they were like, come on, and then we'll put you on the YouTube channel. And then he pulls up this it looked like it was a Russian YouTube channel, okay? Because it looked like Russian. I was like, what language is that? He was like, oh, it's Italian. I'm like, okay, that didn't look like Italian. But you know how like all those games and all that shit works in the city throughout the money. There's always something. There's a gimmick, there's something. There's a catch.
There's always a catch.
So I was like, nah, because trust me, the ego part of me was like, I could beat this fucking guy. But the other side of me, the New Yorker in me was like, nah, there's something going on. I'm gonna end up trying to almost beating the guy, and somebody's gonna stick a fucking syringe in my ass, and I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna wake up in Russia in a bathtub, missing my kidneys. Yeah, no. It was funny. So we sat there for like an hour watching the protesters. I'm watching people fucking losing to this guy. Every once in a while, the guy would turn around and be like, no. I'm like, thank you, no. And I'm sitting there, I'm a beefy guy. And it was funny too, because I didn't see any other like beefy, like the whole trip, I didn't see any beefy people out. You see fat people, you see skinny, all shapes and sizes, but I didn't see anybody in shape.
Yeah.
So it was just weird because they really wanted me to arm wrestle this guy, because I'd be watching like the activists do their thing and do their talking, and CK is like, they keep looking at you, and I'm like, let them.
Let them look,
damn it. I am not doing that. I am not doing that. It's bad enough I fucking arm wrestle CK for booty. I'm not doing that. Yeah, that was like the high point.
That was the high point.
That was the high point of the trip. The bunk beds and the fucking albino arm wrestler. The masked albino arm wrestler.